All right, welcome back. Sorry for the delay. They were trying to block my chat room. My chat room was being blocked. I think I've told y'all about that. Like sometimes when I go live, the chat room will be disabled. Like before I even go live, there'll be a big white screen and it'll be a monkey, like a cartoon animation of a monkey holding a hammer or something. I have no idea what that is all about. But when that happens, I gotta like log off and refresh and do all this goofy stuff. But we are here. I know it's late, but that's, the schedule that I'm on. Shout out to War on Dogs in the building. That's just the sleep schedule that I'm on. So bear with me. Now by now, we're all aware of the recent shooting or the pew-pewing that took place in Minnesota. RIP to the victims and condolences to the families, everybody involved. Another horrible incident, but this is actually a pattern. If you do your research, you look into this, these school situations, they happen often, very consistent. You can look forward to stuff like this happening multiple times each year. Now, for those who don't know, it took place at a church during the first week of classes, during an all-school mass. Doesn't that mean that they were praying? They were praying. This is a prayer session. Shortly before 8 a.m., the criminal, dressed in black, approached the side of the church and fired dozens of rounds from a rifle through the stained glass windows towards worshipers inside. Police later said that this criminal also had a shotgun and a pistol, which jammed. This guy barricaded at least two exits from the outside with pieces of lumber. This was to make sure that they were unable to escape. Think about this. Look at how sinister and demonic this is. It lasted for about 2 minutes. People, 2 minutes of gunfire is a long time. That is a very long time. If you just deal with 10 seconds, trust me, 10 seconds feels like an eternity. 30 seconds, are you kidding me? 30 seconds is unbearable, but 2 minutes? Okay, it ended when this coward took his own life. And that's a huge motivation for this criminal. The fact that the targets, the victims, were harmless. They were not going to fire back. I believe that's one of the major motivations. One of the major motivations. The other, of course, I'll never understand because I'm not sick. And I will never understand the mindset of sick individuals like this. Don't worry, I'm going to tie this into dog culture. So he took his own life. Around 116 rifle bullet casings one unfired pistol cartridge, and 3 shell casings were recovered from the scene. 116? I heard he went through a couple entire clips. Insanity. So, after all of this has gone down, you had some articles, you had journalists do their thing. You know, these reporters are going to report. Let's take a listen at one of them. This coming from Fox News and your favorite host. What is this lady's name? Laura Ingraham.
We now know that the Minneapolis shooter, Robert Westman, was a mentally disturbed young man who at the age of 17, with the approval of his mother, went trans and changed his name to Robin. Predictably, as with so many kids lured into this world, things got worse. Robert, then Robin, descended into darkness.
No, let's stop. Let's stop. I don't want to hear nothing about his personal decision. I don't want to hear nothing about his gender at all. This is cape. This is making excuses for his actions. What in the world does that have to do with targeting youngsters? This is a disservice. You're not a benefit to the general public with journalism like this. What is wrong with y'all over there at Fox News? Why are you even dealing with this? But let's continue.
Robert, then Robin, descended into darkness. 5 years later, he expressed regret about what he had done and a desire to detransition. Now, according to a translation of the purported manifesto, Westman wished he hadn't brainwashed himself and hadn't questioned his gender identity.
This sounds like they're blaming his gender confusion or whatever he was going through. I'm not trying to hear none of that. Y'all push this lifestyle onto us and tell us to accept it as a normal way of life. Okay, if that's the case, you're not allowed to also blame it for this type of violence. Are you out of your mind? You really think that's acceptable for you to say that this is the cause for him targeting youngsters? Slap yourselves. That is ridiculous. That is offensive too. This is very inhumane.
Brainwashed himself and hadn't questioned his gender identity, writing that while he knows he wasn't a woman, he didn't feel like a man. Now, we don't know what sort of treatment he got.
Well. There are many ways to boost your testosterone. That's what it sounds like to me. He should have went to the gym and did some squats. Go do yourself some pull-ups. Huh? Eat more meat. Intake more zinc and magnesium. Do whatever you have to do to feel more like a man. Get a haircut. Huh? Go do some manly things. I don't want to hear these pathetic excuses. Why are we providing excuses for this monster? Why?
Now, we don't know what sort of treatment he got, if any, but we do know that there needs to be an investigation into how so-called gender-affirming care is impacting our kids.
This is the second shooting involving a trans-identifying shooter who specifically targeted Christians and Catholic kids. What kind of consequences do the gender-affirming therapists, doctors, or even the parents?
You said it yourself. This is only the second. Okay? So push gender to the side. The pattern we see here is the targeting of harmless children. The pattern we see here is manifestos. The pattern we see here is racist writings on their Roscoe, on their clips. Why don't we focus on that? Why don't we focus on the real culture that produces scenarios like this? They're all over 4chan, and there's several spaces on the internet where lunatics like this visit on a regular. They don't want to expose that culture, the real culture that these people belong to. They'd rather focus on his gender. You can't make this up. They're that desperate to avoid the real problem, the real source of the problem, and to give cape, to give an out, to make excuses for evil, just flat out evil.
Shooters face after these types of shootings.
HHS is investigating perhaps links between some of these drugs and these prescription drugs that
he was on drugs. Oh, he was confused about his gender. We always hear these types of excuses. Oh, he was troubled. No, you're not going to do that. We're going to deal with this sick pattern where young people are harmed, and then you all make excuses for the perpetrator. No matter if it's a human being or a dog. And notice they do the exact same things. Whether it be a human or a dog, they make excuses. Make excuses for the demon. No, we're not going to do that.
minors may be taking and an increase in violence.
Here to discuss is Dr. Drew Pinsky, host of Ask Dr. Drew and Chief Patient Officer for the Wellness Company. Dr. Drew, Minnesota Democrats, they brag about being a safe haven for trans youth and adults. They celebrate and elevate transgenderism, including in schools. You've seen it at cultural events. Jacob Fry's taken part in some of these. But isn't it time to have a serious conversation about, like, a federal ban on any gender treatment of any kind at any medical facility, at least when it involves minors?
Listen to what they're getting into. You brought this. Y'all want to get into this? As if this was the cause? As if this is the problem? This has nothing to do. Him wanting to whack off his business, him wanting to chop this off, take hormone pills, and do all that nonsense has nothing at all to do with the premeditation of harming youngsters. Look at this. You see that? He was obsessed with the idea of killing youngsters, authorities say. What does that have to do with his gender? Nothing. Nothing at all. So this is sick. You're making excuses for these people. That is sick. Wikipedia has a list of school shootings in the United States. This one by death toll. Look at this. Let's filter it by date. Look, they don't even have the most recent one. I guess this is different. Maybe it's about Well, it did take place at a church. But look at this. 24, you got one there. You got 3 in 2023. Okay, look at the deaths. Look at the injuries. 1, 2022, 2021, 2018. Things did get a lot worse after 2000. It's like a whole new world after 2000. But this looks like a pattern to me. And a pattern, something that's constant in these situations, is that they make excuses for the perpetrator. And in my opinion, these cowards who target kids do so because they're cowards, just like dogs do. Dogs attack youngsters because they feel that it will not put up, youngsters will not put up a fight. They're harmless. I won't get hurt attacking this target. Same with these cowardly people like this man. You're going to barricade the exits and let loose on a bunch of youngsters. That's a demon. Straight up and down. Why would you defend a person like that in any way? I don't want to hear nothing about no prescription drugs. I don't want to hear nothing about no gender confusion. His brain worked well enough to barricade those exits, to write all that stuff on his ammunition, or straight up right in your face, KILLA. And y'all still trying to make excuses? Trying to provide cover for this man? No. Let's take a look at some of the writing on this lunatic's material, on his firearms. Okay? I don't want to hear nothing about no prescription drugs or no gender confusion. His brain worked well enough to write all this stuff, the manifesto, all the crazy writing on his firearm. Hey, look, for the children, his brain worked well enough to do that, to do all of this. And look at the patterns here. This is a culture. Haven't we seen this many, many times? The Buffalo guy in Buffalo, New York, and several others. Are you kidding me? And consistent with it is to make excuses for these dogs. Society supports the lowest of the low, the most evil, the most backwards. The more backwards you are, the more support you get from society. You really can't make this up. And they are actually out here trying to make excuses for this. I personally believe that there is a population of people who applaud stuff like this, who get off on it. Well, obviously there are people like that out here. Look at this guy. This guy actually admired several other mass pewers from the past. Just like all the rest. They have their personal heroes, and their personal heroes are people who did exactly what they ended up doing. Going out and targeting innocent people. Now, this is not like a drive-by. This is not like a gang violence. With the gang situations, they're targeting certain people, specific and particular people. They're targeting their ops. They don't target youngsters. So this is a different level of demonic. This is a whole different level of evil we're talking about here. Targeting youngsters? Not even the gangbangers do that. But they will label those gang situations as mass shootings. No, they're not. These are not the same. Now, innocent people may get hit when these gangsters are targeting and letting off on each other, but they are not the intended targets, and they never go in targeting youngsters. Not even the gangsters are that demonic, are that evil. You don't think this is a problem worth fixing? Well, you got to properly acknowledge it before you can fix it. There's a refusal to even acknowledge this. There is a war on the youth, mental and physical. And they're going to continue to create the environment and protect the environment that causes these tragedies. They protect the true culture that produces people like this guy, because we all know where it's coming from. They protect that sick culture and attack some crash dummy gender decision. And they protect dogs. No matter how many youngsters get unalived, mutilated, they have taken an oath to always protect dogs, no matter what. We will never entertain the idea of getting rid of them, of banning them ever. Pretty sick world we live in. Shout out to everybody in the building. I didn't think even 24 people would be up at this time. It's 3:59, 4 a.m. my time. But most of us don't have to work, right? Happy Labor Day to everybody. I'm going to look at the clock every 10 minutes all day to make sure that the day goes by very slow, right? I'm going to soak this in. So yeah, sick stuff, very sick stuff. We got a lot of things to fix in our culture here in the United States, period. I don't want to hear nothing about race. Both of us, black Americans and white Americans, are screwed up badly in the head. We are all possessed by demons, plumb out of our minds. I don't want to hear no finger pointing. Shut up. Everybody here. And that also includes people of other races, because y'all come here and y'all immediately dive into our degeneracy. And we got to step it up, period. I love my country. And I don't want to see it falling apart. Or the world. Come on, man. People are turning into animals. That's what's happening here. People losing their morals. The closer people align themselves with dogs, the more they behave like dogs. The more soulless they become. There's a recent story surfaced not long ago. Pit bull bites teen below the belt. Below the belt. And this was by a pit bull. What was it? An 18-year-old taken to the emergency room. Francisco Santos said a big black pit bull ran towards him and bit.
Tonight, a teenager is in the hospital after being bitten by a dog at Harlandale Park this afternoon. The culprit, a man's aggressive pit bull, and now Animal Care Services is on the lookout for both dog and owner. Night Team's Aria Oates was there as police were on scene and spoke to the young man who was attacked.
He almost bit one of my kids, so.
A scary scene at Harlandale Park. Boys were playing basketball and this family was celebrating a birthday when witnesses say a pit bull got aggressive.
He was sitting under the table and he almost bit one of my brothers.
A close call for Angel's brother, but an unexpected hospital visit.
This is bad. The whole dog-loving world are in a bad spot right now. Do you know how paranoid I would have been to have a pit bull where there's a bunch of people, a bunch of kids around, and it's barking, it's being aggressive? I'm like, what is wrong with these people? They walk these dogs and they're constantly being controlled by these dogs, being pulled by these dogs, yanked around. They are in situations where it's obvious that the dog is too powerful for them. Well, if that's the case, you shouldn't have it. You shouldn't be in possession of it at all. They take the chance anyways. They take the chance anyways. This is a GoFundMe created for 10-year-old Braxton Bragg, who I think needed, I think he needed like 500 stitches. Yeah, 500 stitches. Okay, playing in his backyard, and the neighbor's dogs just came over and attacked him. I shared this story when it first happened. They said the injuries were catastrophic. Okay, lethal weapons. K9 recently made a good video where he also pointed out how these things are used by both the military and police departments. Why? Because they're weapons. And the worst kind. The kind with a brain of their own. And their brains are very mutated and dysfunctional. You can almost see how inadequate of a brain they have just by looking at them. To be honest. Then you look at their Aside from the aggression, don't even look at the aggression. Look at the constant wagging of the tail. That's retarded. It's totally unnecessary. And they're spreading some type of scent that's coming out of their anal sacs, their anus. Look at the saliva falling from its mouth constantly. Keep your eye on this area. Look at all that saliva constantly falling out of its mouth. Look at its mouth. So we have weapons with brains like this. Mindless aggression, where they just want to attack anything and everything. Really? And we are told to treat them as if they're harmless. And I'm dead serious. Based on the law, if they have not been deemed dangerous by law, then they are free to do whatever they want. Bite somebody, it's not going to be euthanized. If it hasn't been deemed dangerous by law, we are expected to treat them as if they're harmless. No, thank you. No, thank you. As soon as they charge at me, that's going to be the last charge that they make. And all you have to do is be present. They simply have to see you. And they're going to come after you. This is the kind of brain that these weapons have? Really? Isn't this worse than a chopper? Than an AK? This is worse. These weapons don't have a mind of their own. They can't fire themselves. Y'all remember this video? This will always be a classic example of dog aggression. Always. As you can see, they closed in on him in no time. A bunch of nutters letting their dogs run around off leash like a bunch of degenerates, endangering everybody around. The cop pull up, they see the cop, and immediately they do what? Charge after him? Now he stretches this mutt, and they actually show it, so I'm going to pause it. He put one in that mutt's head and one in the chest. And this cop is a dog lover. They all are. But these are lethal weapons with brains like this? Ban them. Euthanize all of them. That is what should be done. But it will never happen. So if it's not going to happen, y'all need to give us our own communities. Y'all heard about the people who created their own community? We need to do the same thing. We might have to consider something like that. A dog-free, man, honestly, we need a whole county. It can't just be a city. But I digress. This brain that these dogs have, that this hyper-aggressive behavior, only they have it. And this is the creature y'all want to turn into a pet? Apex predators. you all want to pass off as pets. That's why we have so much turmoil. That's why it is chaos. Chaos right now in this country. It's another recent story. Wow. Dogs attack a 4-year-old. Kill a family dog. They always include that nonsense. Nobody cares about no worthless mutt.
Police are looking for the owners of a pair of dogs they say terrorized a neighborhood in South Lorraine.
The dogs attacked and injured a 4-year-old boy before killing another family's dog.
News 5's Catherine Ross spoke with neighbors about what happened and what they hope happens now.
Joyce Barton counts herself and her family lucky after a close call with 2 loose dogs.
Just could have been so much worse. He could have been scarred for life or dead. But he looks like he's healing up pretty good.
These are the dogs Barton says attacked her 4-year-old grandson last Thursday. Neighbors shared this video they took earlier. Martin tells us she saw the animals come onto her front porch and ran to alert her grandson and his teenage sister, who were in the driveway. By the time she got outside, a neighbor had kicked.
Look at how they love to invade other people's personal space. That's a huge reason why I hate them so much. They feel like they just have the right to invade anybody's home, space. It is sick. Yeah, we don't want that.
Were in the driveway. By the time she got outside, a neighbor had kicked the dogs off the 4-year-old as they were biting his face and head.
When I first seen him, I thought it was bad because of the blood. It's like, oh God.
After the attack here, police say the dogs ran off.
It was bad, you idiot. Stop trying to minimize these attacks.
Down the street and into another neighbor's backyard. That's where they attacked another family's dog.
Look at that.
That animal did not.
See, like, as always, when they're out and free, like all other animals, all they do is roam around looking for somebody to attack. That's not how animals behave. These are not animals. And I'm sick, so sick of people calling these things animals. Y'all need to stop doing that. I also need to listen, people. If y'all ever hear me refer to a dog by its name, please point it out. I did it recently and I can't find the video where I did it. But I can't believe I even did that. But I referred to the dog by its name. That's like taboo. That should never happen. I don't know how I did that and failed to catch myself. You nutters need to stop giving these dogs names. They are nothing like humans. These are lethal predators. You only make things worse trying to humanize these things. Don't humanize them in any way at all. At all.
That animal did not survive its injuries.
Ultimately, the dogs were determined to be vicious. They weren't able to actually handle the dogs, and they had to put them down on scene.
Police say they're now looking for the dog's owners.
Just dumb, demonic, worthless, and in need of extermination. Just look at them. Ain't nothing sweet or attractive. It just looks like some inbred mutant killers that should be euthanized, that it should have never been bred into existence.
Dog's owners.
I don't think it was the dogs. I think it was the dog's owner.
The dog's owners.
And they're not stepping up to...
No. Remove the dogs. Nobody gets hurt. That's how it works. Remove the owner, we still have a problem. No, we're not going to daydream with y'all anymore. Y'all living in this fantasy world, this alternate universe, where these beasts are not a problem. There's no justifiable reason to say that. Yes, the owner is at fault for owning them. But if you remove the dogs, you remove the problem. You remove the threat. I don't want to hear that goofball pro-dog nonsense.
The dog's owners. And they're not stepping up to be responsible.
Joy and Daniel Smith tell us their dog Rocky was attacked by the same dogs 2 weeks prior.
They had him pinned in the corner, grabbing at his head and neck.
Shut up. Sitting up here sounding all stupid. They're not stepping up to be responsible. That's after the fact. That's after the attack has already went down. The way we want to stop stuff like this from happening.
Out of here.
He couldn't walk for a week. They got his front arm.
Okay, enough of that. Nobody care about your worthless mutt. Euthanize it. Euthanize it too. These people are out of control. They're completely out of control. It's getting worse. We cannot afford to sit back and watch, this go down and not say anything. More people need to speak up. These media outlets, and there was actually one media outlet who sort of tried. If you do a search,
my name,
we'll do one now. You should be able to find it. There's a lot of crazy material out here right now. What in the world? But there was a video that was published, it was uploaded this week. It's about 12 minutes long, right? And here it is right here. Couple caught in a lie about baby's horrifying dog attack. Y'all remember I shared this story when it first happened. This guy, her boyfriend, his dog attacked this kid or this baby, and they tried to lie and say that the baby was actually attacked by a stray dog. A stray dog. When the truth was that it was his dog and they were trying to protect the dog, prevent it from being impounded and euthanized. Sick stuff. They always put the dog over the babies. This is a serious problem. That's why they decided to make a whole story out of this. They got the body cams and made a story out of this craziness. When this first happened, all I did was share the story. But listen to this. Wait a minute. They got the caption down there. But during the questioning, let's see if I can find it. The mother makes a statement, and it is kind of crazy. I can't remember if I even was aware that she had said this in real time when this actually happened.
He was eating and she did grab his tail.
Listen to this. Listen as best you can, please. Listen to this.
The kids played with it for a few days. It's very... He's not aggressive. The kids played with it.
For hours looking for a dog
Wow.
that didn't exist.
She said it's not aggressive. The kids play with it.
It turns out that they both cared deeply for that dog.
We had got home. The dog is very... He's not aggressive. The kids played with it for a few days. He was eating, and she did grab his tail. We were sitting in the living room. She was crawling around in the floor, and he was eating in the kitchen. She grabbed his tail.
She said that the baby grabbed the dog's tail. She said it twice. Did y'all hear that? She said the baby grabbed the dog's tail.
She grabbed his tail.
Hope y'all could hear that. Now listen to what she says after that.
She was crawling around in the floor, and he was eating in the kitchen. She grabbed his tail. I won't even say she grabbed his tail because I don't know. I didn't see it. But that's what I assume would happen because he was eating.
What? What? You want to run that by me again? Did y'all hear that?
I won't even say she grabbed his tail because I don't know. I didn't see it.
Well, why you say that? You just assumed that the baby grabbed the dog's tail? Why? Because the dog was eating? And listen to the carelessness, the recklessness. You just letting a baby crawl around on the floor around a dog. The trust they put in dogs just because the dog doesn't attack them personally really blows my mind. Because if I were in your shoes, I wouldn't do that. Like, yeah, it's not attacking me, but I'm not going to assume that it won't attack my baby. There ain't no way. Even if I was a dog owner, I would, look, this dog got to go. I'm not bringing my baby home with this dog in the house. Y'all don't even do that. That's crazy. Now, every now and then, but actually, I can't say how often it happens, but it does happen. There are confessions online where people say they got rid of the dog before they brought the baby home. All of you should be doing this. But you know how crazy it is now. They'll have a newborn and then go out and get a grown pit bull from a shelter, bring it home, and try to have it sleep with the baby that same night. That's how crazy it is. Okay? This is a mental illness. I saw another user refer to this as a mental illness. This whole dog love culture is a mental illness. You know, it's like an obsession with being antisocial. That is a problem. Serious problem. Police departments all across the country get nonstop calls about these things, and when the police show up, they are faced with what? Lethal threats. Here recently, I saw a video where 12 pit bulls were terrorizing the neighborhood somewhere. Here it is right here. 12. Now, I'm gonna actually cover this also on another video. But the hood culture, the hoods around the United States, they are actually headed and governed by the females. It's a matriarch. It's a matriarch. And it really shows in this video. They calling all the shots, telling the men to go in the house, telling them to shut up, and all kind of stuff. And they're doing it. They're obeying. But look at what the neighbors have done. They're out there with machetes. Out there with machetes. Y'all really faced with a threat like this? And this is somebody's pets? I don't think so. I don't think so. 12 pit bulls terrorizing the neighborhood. According to the neighbors, the dogs get free all the time. Look at how much of a menace these people can become. One of the police officers actually tells the owner, or who he thought was the owner, to take the dogs inside the house. Are you out of your mind? You want to continue treating these things like pets, even in a situation like that? It should dawn on everybody. These are not pets. It's past time to stop treating these things like pets. At the very least, these large dogs, at the very least, the breeds that were bred for violence. Y'all know full well you can't predict, you can't train these things, you can't program these dogs as if they're some type of computer when they were literally bred for violence and bloodshed. You know, it's always a gamble for your life and as well as others. And everybody knows this and want to turn a blind eye to it, treat it like it's harmless, pretend like it's harmless. No. It's past time some percentage of the population drew the line and it was in direct opposition to this culture. Get out of here. Dog culture is despicable. It's despicable, and I believe the majority of young people are going to side with us over that dangerous, wicked, goofy, corny, nasty, disgusting culture of dog culture. Shout out to all my crusaders in the building, and I hope you all can join me on the next live stream as we continue with this crusade.